In front of you is a game called Mysterium. This is a cooperative game, and the game set up in front of you is set up to be played by 4 players. If you would like help setting up for as many as 6 players, go ahead and call me over and I can help you to get that done. Setup is a bit complicated, so this game will be set up for you to play. This is a limited setup just so that it's easy for me to explain. So let's go ahead and set the scene. Mysterium is a cooperative game about a team of psychics whose character you will choose, who venture to a mansion to kind of piece together who did it, where they did it, and what they used to commit a murder at this mansion. Each psychic is going to have a different story in this adventure that is dictated by the ghost. I will get to explaining what this board means in just a little bit, so hang tight, all right? So let's go ahead and select a player. Let's say that I want to play black. I almost always play black. I'm going to go ahead and dump this out. So inside, there's going to be 6 clairvoyancy tokens. Some of them will have an X, some of them will have a check on the back, as well as my character marker. This has my number on the back for the end of the game. So essentially, for me to play the game, what's going to happen is the ghost is going to give me a couple of vision cards so that I can try and discern which character I am in the amount of time on the clock. So after each round, we're going to advance that clock 1 hour. So let's go ahead and do a sample round. All right, I'm black, so the ghost gives me a vision card. Let's say it is this one. So I've got a cannon, I've got some circles, and you're going to use what's on this card to discern which one of the 4 character subjects you are. So if I got this card, I'd probably guess that I'm the cop just because of the bullets here on the card and the idea of a cannon. Once the timer runs out, which is flipped after the ghost gives you the cards, they're going to tell you whether you were correct or incorrect. So let's say that I was correct in this case. I'm going to advance my token to the next category, choosing a place, and take this card and place it in my little folder here. So now we're going to be guessing place. The ghost is going to hand out cards. So since I'm on the second track, mine is going to tell me what place I am. I get my card. Everyone else who's playing the game, if they were incorrect, is going to continue to guess person, which will continue to reduce as people guess correctly. And then they'll continue to advance through the game as well. So this is the second round. We'll put the clock on round 2. So flip our cards, flip our timer, and I've got a foresty, woody scene. So I'm thinking somewhere outdoors with rocks. I take a look at these cards. I see one that's outdoors. We've got some rocks, so we're just going to go with it. So now, in the time that's left on the timer, every other psychic is able to assign these clairvoyancy tokens to my token. So let's say that Red thinks that I'm right. They can take this, put it on my card pointing to me, and then once the time runs out, the ghost says that I am correct, I advance to the next token, and Red was correct. So this token is placed up by the clock, and Red is going to get a clairvoyancy point. Clairvoyancy points are gained when you guess correctly. So right now, Black would have 2, or when you get a clairvoyancy token correct, as well as for the number of hours left on the clock when you finish. So let's say that, fast forward through this round, I run a perfect round. So those are my cards, and I finished on hour 3. So I would get 1, 2, 3, 4 extra clairvoyancy points. 3 for getting it right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I would get more points for however many of my chips I assigned correctly during the other psychics' play. At the end of the game, when all of the psychics playing have completed their storylines, we're going to move into the second phase of the game. If every psychic is unable to complete this first adventure, the game ends and everyone loses. So let's jump into the second portion of this game. Once everyone has their storyline, what you're going to do is take your little pocket of cards. You're going to dump those out. and lay them out like so. Ta-da! Then you're going to take this token, that's your character's color, flip it over so everyone can see that you are going to be option 4. And then let's just assemble some other stories here. We'll just do 2. And we'll say that this was Red's. So then what the ghost is going to do is from this pile, they're going to take a look at the stories for all 4 players, and then they're going to draw vision cards, and they're going to choose which story fits the vision cards they draw best. Then they're going to give those to the players. This is going to have an unlimited time limit, and you're going to get to look at those 3 cards, one of which will be associated with one part of a story, and decide which of the 2, 3, 4 stories you believe is correct. Now, for this portion of the game, there is no conversation allowed. When you are discussing what person, place, or thing you are, there can be discussion among the players, but not during this final round. Each psychic must decide on their own which story they believe is correct. And that's because, depending on how well you've performed, you may only get to see 1, 2, or maybe you'll see all 3 of those cards. For example, Black, who up here on the clairvoyancy tracker is on 7, where there's 3 cards, would get to see 3 cards, whereas Red on the 1 here would only get to see 1 card. The 2 would be with the 5 points. So the ghost will play out those 3 cards for them, and then you'll start by flipping up the 1 card for Red to see, and they'll match it to which story they think it is, and then Black will get to see all 3 cards and decide which story they think it is. To vote, you'll go ahead and take back your markers, and let's say I'm going to think that it was Red. So I'm going to take the token that says 5, stick it in my little portfolio secretly, and give this to the person who scored the most points. That was me, so I'll hold on to it. Once everyone has voted and you have all of the pamphlets, the person with the most clairvoyancy is going to dump out each one to reveal the majority of votes for the story. So let's say the majority of people voted for 5. That means that we, as a team of psychics, have decided that this is the story we believe it is. And then the ghost will flip up the token that they set aside for the story they selected, and if that is 5, then they will win, and we as a team will win. So now let's jump over to the ghost board so you can understand a little bit about what's going on there. So in this game, if you're set up to play with 4 players, one of those 5 players, one of those 5 players is going to have to be the ghost, while the other 4 players will play on the track. The ghost job is to guide the psychics without giving verbal cues and without speaking almost entirely to each objective. So you see that here laid out is a series of storylines, and we have to guess them correctly in order to, make things come together. So for the first round, when you're trying to get them to guess a person, the ghost would have been the one who draws 7 cards and assigned the cannon to the person who's the police. For each round, the ghost will draw 7 cards and assign 1, 2, or as many cards as they would like to every player. If you don't like the cards that are in your hand, you can take one of these crows, put it down, and draw 7 more new cards. You can look at those to assign additional cards to players who already have cards or to give cards. Everybody does need cards for that round to start. Then the ghost will flip the timer, and the psychics will have this much time to guess at what the ghost is trying to lead them to. If the ghost is able to get them to guess their person, their place, and their thing and get to that final moment, everyone will clean up this part. They'll lay out their stories like we were just discussing, and then the ghost will draw 7 cards. However they see 3 of those cards fits into a story, they will take the token that represents the story it fits. So in our example, they decided that 5 was going to be the best story to go with, which is Red's story. And they will take this and place it face down in this little circle up on there, up on the top bit. And then the cards will be revealed as was just described so the psychics can guess. There is also a set of instructions on the table and you can feel free to call me over to explain anything in more detail. But good luck with your psychic business, and I look forward to hearing if you love the game. Thanks so much. Bye.